Welcome to Grow Getters with host Davis Michaelsen, who's looking for and discovering agriculture's most inventive side hustles.
Well, welcome to Grow Getters, everybody. It's me, Davis, down here in some new digs with you on a great episode of Grow Getters. I'm really excited about this one because this one is something of a departure from what we usually do, and yet at the same time, our guest has arrived at the destination that gets Grow Getters' attention. Those side hustles, and sometimes they become the hustle itself. We may be looking at one of those sorts of cases today. Before we get too far, let me just please ask you like and subscribe so that you can check out more videos from Grow Getters. We've got all kinds of guests coming through. It's awesome. It's really exciting. Let's start here. Harley Farms. Harley Farms' mission is to honor historic farming traditions by creating exceptional products while connecting people and places through a shared interest in food and sustainability. With that, let me bring in Dee Harley, my guest today from Harley Farms. Hello, how are you, Dee?
I'm great. How are you doing? Thank you for inviting me.
Fantastic. It's great to have you here. Now, usually we start out by establishing a little bit of farm cred with our guests. Now, you took a bit of a wide loop to get from where you started to a farm in California, and judging by your accent, I would say you're not from around here, are you, originally?
I'm not. No, I'm originally from Yorkshire in the northern part of England. And my father was a coal miner. My mum stayed at home and worked in a bread shop. And farming really wasn't in the forefront or in our family at all. But I grew up around the country, as a lot of places in England are, surrounded by the countryside. I was always attracted to it. And here I am at 40 years later running a farm. So be careful what you ask for, because you never know, right?
Well, talk to us about that journey. What was it that caused you to hop across the pond and come here and join us in the US of A?
Well, I think I was always one of those young people that were ready to go from an early age. I left school at 16. I was kind of independent, and I did some traveling, and then I got there was a big coal miners' strike in England, in the north of England at that time, around that age. And my dad was a coal miner, so it was difficult on the family and on our community, on our village. And at that time, the Prince of Wales, who is now the King of England, set up this program called Operation Rally. And it was a round the world expedition. And they were looking for young people to join this boat that was going to be basically going around the world, to go for 2 to 3 month stints on it, and you had to be selected. So during this kind of devastating time in our area, I applied to go on it, and I was selected to go.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that selection process was, selection weekends and different interviews and things, but was that I had to raise the money to go on it. And it being the coal miners' strike and all the families really being coal miners, there was very little resources in the community. But I ended up being this shining light of hope. And people donated, and I did, little bake sales, and I ran a half marathon, and I had a little croquet party and all these little things in the local village. And everybody supported me, including the Rotary clubs. And I ended up raising twice the amount of money to go on this thing.
Wow.
Anyway, I ended up choosing going to Honduras because it was the furthest place away from England at the time.
The farthest you could get. All right.
I took a year to raise the funds.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went off to Honduras, and of course it changed my life, completely changed my life. And so when I came back from that enormous experience, I couldn't stay at home, and I got a job in Washington State on the San Juan Islands, leading bike tours for a YMCA camp, and that's how I came out to the States. And as soon as I got on the little minibus going up the road to this beautiful island up there, I was like, I'm not going home. I'm staying.
Yeah.
Ended up
Wow.
staying a couple of years up there.
Just already, I can see there's an entrepreneurial spirit to you. Do you recognize that in yourself? Has that always been sort of a thing? I mean, you had this terrific opportunity, and the idea that, well, there just isn't much money around. I guess I got to go out and shake the trees and see what I can rustle up. That's fantastic. Was that something that you knew was a part of you? Would you say that's a part of you now?
Well, I'm older, much older now, and I've had life experiences, and I'm beginning to understand that I am that. Yes, I've never owned that word to myself, but I am now. Yes.
Yeah.
So now when I look back at those years and I look back at what I did, I realize that was part of that type of personality without really kind of deeply understanding it like I do now.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So you left England for the sunny west coast of America. You know what? At this point, why don't I bring out? I've got two songs for you. I've got one here. We're going to pick up your story in California after this musical selection.
Okay, I'm excited.
Some of them are brown, and others are gray. I'm out with the flock, just enjoying the breeze. California goat cheese. Enjoy the ocean breeze. California goat cheese. Enjoy the ocean breeze. California goat cheese. Enjoy the ocean breeze.
Wow, that was impressive. Impressive.
It comes from your goat cheese. Okay, so maybe we're skipping ahead a little bit. I'm so excited about the cheese. Somehow you wound up with 6 goats and married and living in California. Get us to that point, please.
Well, I just want to just go back a little bit because there is a little bit of an interlude before from being in Washington State and working on this YMCA camp. I actually ended up joining the crew on this tall ship, which was a replica of Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind, and it was full of English people. And so I rode my bike down to the dock and I'm like, give me a job. I need, the next excitement, the next shiny object. And they said, can you climb the rigging? I'm like, sure. I'd never done it before in my life. Anyway, I went up and then they hired me. So I ended up being on that ship for quite a while. And we used to go from dock to dock and we would give children a tour of the boat. And it was just a fantastic time. But anyway, that led me down the coast. And then I eventually went to Oregon, and then eventually came down to Oregon California with some friends from Oregon, which is how I ended up in Pescadero. I heard the faint music of an accordion wafting from this little cabin by the Pigeon Point Lighthouse, which is on the coast near where we live. And I followed the sound because I was staying at a youth hostel, and I followed the sound and I met Three-Fingered Bill there.
Three-Fingered Bill.
Three-Fingered Bill. And he invited me in for tea, and I ended up chopping wood for him. He's a folk artist, a carpenter. I chopped wood for him. We became lifelong friends, and he is a huge part of our farm and my evolution in the village where we live. He passed away 3 years ago, but that's ultimately why and how I ended up coming to Pescadero, which is on just inland from the coast.
Yeah. And you married a local boy, and
somehow
there were goats involved there. I got to know, where did the goats come from?
The goats are complete default. Complete default. I ended up marrying a man from the village, Tim Duart, and I ended up working on a organic herb farm, Jacob's Farm in Pescadero. And I worked with all the people that harvested all the herbs, and I used to send the produce up to the produce market in the evening, and that's where I kind of learned my initial Spanish. So I communicated with all the guys that worked on the farm, and dealt with all the customers and did the invoice, and it was a very small operation at the time. And one of the customers was this woman, Nancy Gaffney, who had a goat farm about 45 minutes away from where we live. And she ordered dried tomatoes from us. So I would send her dried tomatoes. And then one day she picked up the order from our house, which is in the village. And I live on a kind of I lived on a derelict cow dairy farm, right? So nothing was going on. There was like a horse there, and that was about it. And we lived in the house. And she came to pick up this order of dried tomatoes at our house, and she's like, "Whoa, what a great place! Why don't you get some goats from me, and you can do the milk, and I'll do the cheese." I remember it clearly on our front doorstep, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." And so I probably a couple of weeks later, I went down. I ended up getting 6 goats from her, and that's how it started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Total different
And
world.
because of your proximity to the ocean, your geographic location there, I understand that has some impact on the flavor of the cheese. Talk to me about that, please.
Well, we say that it's our secret ingredient, and we use the word terroir like they do in the wine industry. It's the sense of place. And the foggy, kind of salty air drifts in from the coast and goes into the earth that grows the grass that the goats eat. And it subtly comes through on the flavor of the cheese. We had our cheese at an award show in Italy several years ago. And this man tasted it and he said, "This cheese was made by the ocean."
Wow.
That's
Wow.
it's an advanced palate, but nevertheless, we have our own flavor. If we just took our herd of goats and moved them inland, it would
Mhm.
be completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. I reckon by now you can probably taste the difference, right? I'm sure you've developed a palate for it over the years.
I have developed a palate, and I have developed the texture for sure.
Sure. Yeah. So you're offering chèvre, right?
Chef,
Fromage blanc, ricotta or a ricotta
yeah.
in Italy, I suppose, feta cheeses, and they have. You're not only making these, but these have been American Cheese Society award winners, haven't they?
They have, yes, they've won first place. Yeah, quite a number of years, yes, and also we won a gold medal at the World Cheese Show. And
Wow.
we beat the French. That's what I always say. And we beat the French, and it like just makes me feel all warm and happy inside.
I would guess maybe you could have done without the gold medal as long as you came in ahead of the French. Is that right?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, with that, let me regale you with one more song because now we're going to move in from how did we get here to all right. So what does here look like? But first, Harley Farms out in Pescadero. Cultivate unique teas from the soil. Harley Farms. It's literally a California dream. The goat of Goat Farms, California's joy. You'll find the best of goats and jams and jellies and oils. Harley Farms on the Grow Getter Show. So,
Wow. Wow.
Farms out in Pescadero, the goat of Goat Farms, California's joy. Suddenly you find yourself strolling amidst some give or take 200 goats.
Mhm.
But on top of that, you have taken that entrepreneurial spirit. You do all kinds of stuff there on the farm now, don't you? This once derelict, dilapidated place with a single horse that, in my mind, it's kind of skinny and couldn't walk very good. By now, he's fine. The farm is up and running. Talk to us about all the stuff you've got going on now out there on the farm, please.
Well, it just feels like it ping, ping, there's always something going on, and we have to change and move with whatever's going on.
Yeah.
We're lucky in the fact that we have a direct relationship with our customers because people come to the farm to buy our cheese in our retail shop that we have. And so we can hear what people are asking for and we can feel what people need. And especially since COVID, um, we all had an experience in different ways, but the farm became quite a sanctuary for people. It was a place that they could come and be outside, they could meet up with people, they could still feel slightly normal. And coming out of that, then we're just seeing people really wanting to be on the farm and experience it in different ways. So
Mhm.
we're looking at offering different experiences and just the demographic too. Young people want experiences, older people want peace.
Mhm.
Other people just want to feel solid on the ground and have a real experience on a real farm. Other people are super supportive of getting to know the people behind the food that is produced and that they buy. So very different groups of people and different interests come in. So we're trying to hone in on that and become a little bit more diversified in the experience area. Historically, as in pre-COVID, we did many farm dinners where people would buy space at the table upstairs in our hayloft. It seats 20 people. And so you would sit with people that you didn't know. We'd do a 5-course meal and do a tour of the farm beforehand. And all the ingredients would come from either our farm or local farms in the village. And they were extremely popular. Our dates would go out on November 1st at midnight and they'd be sold out in minutes for the whole year. And it led to events, small weddings, larger weddings, and tours. We do lots of corporate tours, group events, and school
Mhm.
tours, especially in baby season when all the babies, arrive. Everybody loves those. So,
The baby goats, of course. Yeah, you bet.
So
Um,
we've done a lot of different things. We like to be diversified, and I think when something like COVID hits or the economic recession in 2008 hit, it everybody gets super fundamental,
mm,
and historically that's when we've done actually quite well because people just slow down and they come to places like ours.
yeah, yeah. One of the things that I love sort of focusing on and trying to narrow is that gap between urban folk who, go to the grocery store. As far as we know, groceries come from the store, to people who are out there on the farm working the land, working with animals. And this sounds like a great opportunity for folks in your area and beyond, to
Mhm.
maybe come out and see a side of life that they haven't experienced.
Mhm. Sometimes we'll have people go on the top deck and they'll look out over the pastures and the garden, and it's kind of dreamy. It's like the I want to have a goat farm when I retire, kind of like, hey, let me talk you out of that, please. But they'll be like, oh, you are so lucky,
Mm. Mhm.
and it well, look, you work hard to have luck. I believe.
Mhm.
It's not look, it's you have to want the lifestyle. You have to you have to surround yourself with people who also want the lifestyle. You have to surround yourself with different people who have different talents. It's never one person, these types of jobs. It's a group of people that can move and flow with the seasons, can move and flow with the days. We can wake up and we've got a plan, and then it all gets thrown out of the window because the pump broke or something, something happened. And so you've got to be kind of uh, you've got to flow like that, and I think that's why we're actually quite good at being diversified because we're well, it's creative, it's interesting, it's different, it's never
Sure.
the same, and so it we're kind of set for that. And plus, all the people that live around our areas, they're also so consciously interested in this type of food product or quality of product or sustainability, or coming to just meet the people behind the food they're buying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dee, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to cut you loose. You've been very generous with your time today, but I would like for you to speak to that young person who maybe doesn't realize that they're being an entrepreneur, maybe doesn't realize that they already have some of the mental tools in place that you have come to rely on throughout your life. Give that person some advice. I'm, with you, it was, wow, I'm here. I don't ever want to leave. You talk about people, coming to your place, and I wonder, wow, do they get there? Wow, I never want to leave. How can you? What would your advice be to a young entrepreneur? I'm just going to make it short.
Mm. Go do what you're good at, because what you're good at is usually what you love to do. And do more of that and surround yourself with people that encourage that. And then when there's feet on the ground and there's some connection with how you're going to move forward, get a coach and get an accountant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things that maybe an entrepreneur is someone who's willing to take the chances and, run a little bit fast and loose to get it done. But the numbers still have to all add up, don't they? You gotta make them all line up at the end of the column.
It's constant. It's a constant thing even right now. It's the tortoise and the hare. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, no problem. And it's like, oh, you've got to have somebody picking up the pieces behind you, or it's just not going to work.
Well, discussing your products here, and we've talked about the cheese and stuff, but I'd be remiss if I let you go and didn't list out the whole product line. First of all, where can we find more information? You've got a website. Would you give that to us, please?
Sure. It's harleyfarms.com, and Harley is spelled like Harley Davidson motorbike.
All right. But it's not just cheese. What else you got there at Harley Farms?
We make jams and jellies. We make a whole line of bath and body products using our goat milk. We have oils. We have meat rubs. We have habanero jelly and nectar and syrups. And we have our own honey.
Very nice. Do you think, no, my skin, to me, as I'm looking at this camera here, looks just a little blue, a little bit pasty. Do you think maybe some goat milk-based products would be able to help me out to bring out my inner glow, perhaps?
You could be the face of Harley Farms if we sent you a little care package.
I don't know if you would want my face associated with your farm. I mean, you want to be successful, right?
You can slather yourself just like Cleopatra would with the milk. They're just luscious and beautiful products. Absolutely wonderful.
Sure. I'll think about it. Give us that website just one more time, Dee Harley.
harleyfarms.com.
Outstanding. Dee Harley, thank you so much. What a great story. You've come so far and you provide such a terrific product. And you've become something of an ambassador, it sounds like, to urban folks, to just anyone who wants to stop by and check you guys out. Dee, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, production support was provided by Jack Heffron and Zach Zingula. Find Grow Getters on Farm Journal's YouTube channel and listen to it wherever you find your favorite podcasts. So for Farm Journal Studios, I'm your pal, Davis Michaelsen. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, everybody, let's get out there and grow get 'em.
Grow Getters is a production of Farm Journal Studios, where no one grows alone.